Hey Boo, what's up? Welcome back to another video, and this time I have a book review for you. So I recently read Big Sean's book, Go Higher, focusing on purpose, success, and inner peace, and I'm here to let you know all about it. So let's get into the review. So first of all, Big Sean starts the book with going over 5 principles that he is sharing in the book, and that's accept, strategize, try, trust, and manifest. He applies all or one of these principles in each chapter of the book, and he shares his life experiences, stories that has helped him navigate his career, relationships, and being a new dad, and just life in general. So, as he shared these experiences and stories in each chapter, you couldn't help but take notes. And trust me, I took a plethora of notes because I know I need to go higher. Okay. This is my year to elevate. I'm on my self discovery journey and I need to go higher. So, his experiences were very relatable. I mean, when he was sharing about his friends, a little spoiler alert, when he was sharing about his friend, I could not help but laugh like, oh my gosh, is something wrong with me? But his stories were relatable, they were insightful, and they even made you emotional as he was just reflecting on certain parts in his life along his journey. So it really just made you change your lens, your perspective, and the mindset shift that we may need to have for one, going from here to here. You know, we're all on a journey and we're all on a bridge. So, speaking of the mind, it's really about what you're putting in your mind, what you're visioning, or what you envision for your life, and how you believe that. And so, one of the things that he also spoke about in the book was trusting yourself and just reflecting back on experiences that made you think indifferent about a situation or yourself. And I can totally relate because I think that's kind of why some of us are like stuck, stagnant, or feel like we're not where we're supposed to be in life because certain experiences have kind of shaped the narrative of our lives. And we have to go on a journey where we are dismantling those things. We have to go on a journey where we are like replacing those limiting beliefs, those thoughts about ourselves, or those things that happen so that we can be a better version of ourselves. So he talked about, just trusting yourself and like visualizing what you want and what makes you happy, and knowing that even if it's not understood by anyone else, that you believe in it. What is it that you believe in? What is it that you desire? And like you actually showing up and going after those things. So I think that's really dope. And now I'm going to get into a couple of highlights. And he was saying like the power of saying things out loud to reframe your subconscious and conscious mind. And so that's more so like getting into the affirmations. Like, how are you starting your day? What are you saying out loud? Like, are you saying the scripture or anything like that? Like, what are you declaring over your day? And one thing that he spoke on in regards to the affirmations, he's like, affirmations are like your daily pep talk. And he also talked about declarations is like what you're demanding, and believing that what you desire, you will be aligned to that at the right time in the right place. So because you are declaring something or you're affirming something, you're making space for the new thing, the new person, or the new version of yourself. So he even mentioned like along the way, you're going to have some barriers, you're going to have some lemons, and that's to be expected, right? Everything is not going to go creme de la creme, A1 steak sauce. Everything is not always going to be peaches and cream, but it's like, how do you respond to those barriers, right? How do you respond to the obstacles? And knowing that even though this is just like a test right now, like staying focused on the dream, staying focused on the goal. So even if you are experiencing some barriers, just stay focused and keep putting in the work and knowing that things are going to look up, things are going to get better on your journey. Another thing that I liked in the book was the reflections at the end of the chapters. So he'll ask questions, or he'll give you journal prompts that you could write in your journal and think about it at another time. So those were really good. Those guided questions, can help you as you're navigating along your journey. Some of the questions that he were asking were very thought provoking, and definitely things that, just make you think like outside the box. And I'm still working on some of those because I was writing them in my journal as he was ending the chapter. But I really thought that was really good because not only was he sharing his story in the chapters, but then he also had the component where he wants you to reflect. And so think about things that could make your situation better. Some of the other things that he spoke on in the book was things that I mentioned in my last video. So if you haven't checked it out, I'm going to tag it somewhere in this video or in the description. But I know some of the things that I mentioned that I was doing on my self-care journey, this was just like confirmation what he shared in his book. So like the therapy, the journaling, and the meditating was like some of the things that I mentioned. I think I mentioned meditating as a bonus, but meditating is something that I'm still working on, like, just clearing my mind. But some of the things that he mentioned was like therapy and it being a taboo, but he's like, don't knock it until you try it. You got to try it and don't abandon the concept. And I thought that was really good because, like I mentioned, it's good to just have a perspective that can help you navigate, where you are and what you're struggling with. So I really think that's cool that he mentioned it. Because like he was saying, what therapy really is the relationship that you have with yourself and how you look at things in a new way. So doing things that work for you that may be considered silly for others, like some people may think therapy is silly or counseling is silly, but you got to do what's best for you wherever you find that you're going to be grounded and allows you to have peace, calm, and things of that nature. He also talked about meditation and just taking 10 minutes out of your day to center your thoughts, calm your mind, and focus on how the day can serve you. And I like that concept because I'm like, meditation is something that I'm still kind of struggling with and just being like, oh my gosh, girl, we don't have time to be doing this. But he talked about a few techniques such as deep breathing and box breathing and just having like a guided meditation. But, I feel good when I do it. But, when I first was introduced to meditating, my mind was all over the place. It was like, girl, you don't have time to be doing this. Like I said, it was just a squirrel moment for me. And it was just like, over time, I'm like, but I do have time for this. And I do have time to center my thoughts. And I do have time to block out all the noise. I deserve peace. I deserve calmness. Like, I have time to do this. So, yes, meditate if you have an opportunity to do it. And something else that he talked about in the book. Now, I'm just giving y'all some little highlights because he talked about a lot. I think it was like over 25 chapters in the book, but I'm just giving y'all some highlights. So, it's definitely a book that you want to read for yourself. I'm only giving you the highlights, but he's talked about healthy connections and who brings out the best in you. As you know, sometimes our connections are for a season, a reason, and a lifetime. And sometimes we think people are going to be in our lives for a long time, but life has a way of just being like, and I don't know about y'all, but sometimes I'll be like, yes, I want this person to be in my life forever. I want this person to be in my life forever. So we'll do whatever we can to keep them in our lives. But oh my gosh, I got another book for y'all on that. Like, ooh, girl. But your connections are ultimately like where you are aligned in your life. He spoke on how communication is key in relationships or connections and friendships and just understanding each other and making space for the relationship as it evolves and grow and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, with connections, relationships, or anything, you want that person to bring out the best in you. And I know sometimes people can bring out the worst in us. And that's when you have to assess whether it's worth having this relationship in our lives. So I know it's not always easy to let people go, but honestly, you really do have to let go and let God. And if it's ever aligned for that person to be back in your life, then they will. And whatever the reason you and that person fell out, just learning how to forgive. And that's one of the things that he spoke in the book too, forgiving, because it's not for the other person, it's really for you. So, just be mindful of that. So he closes the book with gratitude and books that has elevated his journey and gave him a new perspective in life. And what I liked was because he did give us books that can help us, and we can have our own little personal book club. So I thought that was dope. Some of the books that he mentioned, I think he gave 7 or 8 books. Some of the books I've already read, like The 4 Agreements and The Alchemist. I've read that. But those are books you got to keep reading. Every now and then you just got to pick them back up and read them again, because you need them as a reminder. And you're in different phases in your life. How you can read something and then you're okay, I got it. But then you could be in another phase in your life where you're I really needed this right then and there. So I thought that was pretty dope. Like I said, he gave about 7 or 8 different books that he read, and he encouraged us to read as well. So I definitely see this book being, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a workbook followed after this book. I mean, it really is good. Not that a rating is necessary for this book, but I'm giving this book 5 out of 5 stars. It's definitely a book that you must read this year if you want to go higher with yourself, with any of your relationships in your career. It's definitely going to help you and navigate you along on your personal journey. So I definitely recommend you reading this book, going to your nearest Barnes and Noble or whatever the case, and getting it. But I'll leave a link of the book in my description so that you all can just grab it after you watch this video. And let me know in the comments below if you're going to grab your copy or if you've already read this book, and what were your thoughts. And what are your thoughts on our favorite artists stepping outside of the genre that we've known them for and tapping into new endeavors and things. So let me know what you all think. And I hope you all enjoyed this review, and let me know if you are looking forward to other personal development books. I'd be glad to share what I've read. So until next time, bye.